Ibintama pro country belong you me Papua New Guinea. Long year 1942, World War II Ibintama. Ibintama pro country belong you me Papua New Guinea.
Ina wanuro penawe ta tikai na bulinga we bol maru ta miru ta e au tu ne wagi ne dawe ko ne wanuro penawe ta tikai na bulinga we bol maru ta miru ta e.
These are the Knockanai Mountains of New Britain, Papua New Guinea. The Epicosity crew has joined John Lane and a group of scientists from Chico State University to document this largely unexplored biodiversity hotspot. Their mission is to cave into the source of the Pandy River and then kayak it to the sea. This is the first kayaking exploration on the island, and the team is trying to raise awareness to the threats unchecked logging and agricultural production pose to this biodiversity hotspot. Hotspots contain about 60% of the world's biodiversity, but today, only 30% of that original habitat remains. So for the next year, the Epicosity crew will travel to 3 biodiversity hotspots and use exploratory kayaking to raise awareness to the value of the few tracts of land that remain. Their first step in the Rivers in Demand project is finding the source of the Pandy, but that isn't as easy as driving to the put-in.
I'm sitting in the back of a Cessna 68 fixed-wing plane. We're gonna go fly over a bunch of rivers that have never been paddled before on an island that's never even seen a whitewater kayak, and I can't believe we're here.
Well, I feel like an old hobo on the sad lonesome blue. I was fair as a summer day. Now the summer days are through. You pass through places, and places pass through you, but you carry them with you on the soles of your traveling shoes.
It just mentally grinds on you to be hiking in the rain, hiking on these really steep trails that are just straight down, straight up the valleys.
And the whole time you're really on someone else's turf. It's not a national park. We're hiking through indigenous land, passing through only if we can get permission. As we walked up to the first village to ask permission, I was terrified. I mean, given the history of white people in Papua New Guinea, they have every reason to hate us. So when we walked up, I really had no idea what to expect.
Trip, yeah, Andy. Yeah. Oh wow. Thank you. You just drink it? Oh, oh it's so good. Wow. I've never had a coconut before. It's so good.
As the crew pushed through unrelenting jungle, cuts and blisters became infected wounds, and with no accurate maps, progress was only possible with the help of local guides. After weeks of searching, the crew arrived in Tuke, where the Pandy pours from caverns in the southern hemisphere's largest cave system. In order to find the Pandy's underground source, the team must first probe into these caves.
It's been hard going. This jungle is steep slippery, wet. In the cave, I'm sure it's gonna be no different, but it's just gonna be amazing. I think when we round this corner, it's gonna be so good to just see a cave and get some sort of payoff for hours and hours and weeks of searching, and here we are. Oh wow.
My whole body's tingling right now, pins and needles. I've been in some deep and long caves, but I've never been in an entrance this huge before.
The team began probing into the darkness.
This is what I came to PNG for, especially to New Britain. This is hyperkarst. This is fantastic. Woo! Woo!
Hyperkarst is one of the world's fastest evolving landscapes. It is created when a high volume of rainfall lands on limestone, and in the case of the Nakanai Mountains, over the past 200,000 years, it has eroded these peaks into a rugged framework for thousands of tunnels and chambers. The sheer size and inaccessibility of these caverns makes for exceptionally technical caving. Deep within the caves, the teams used rope systems to negotiate hundreds of feet of vertical descents, but still, they had to wade through pools of eel-infested blackwater.
I've been to some pretty cool places in the world. This is the
After 2 weeks of exploration, the expedition finally reaches the underground source of the Pandy. Now they'll ascend out of the cave and return to the coal village at Tuke, where they'll spend 2 days recovering in preparation for the kayaking expedition. Coal comprises one of Papua New Guinea's 800+ distinct languages. That's a tenth of the world's in a country only slightly larger than the state of California. Negotiating this variety of cultures is one of the biggest challenges to exploration and conservation here. But as is happening all across Papua New Guinea, many of the isolated cultures of New Britain are on the brink of change from a growing logging and agricultural industry that is expanding into the pristine highlands. In order to gain permission to explore the Pandy and its source, the expedition spent time in the coal village of Tuke. Coal is an isolated language, which means it has evolved with no connection to any other language spoken on the planet. There are about 60 of these worldwide, and on New Britain, there are 4. It wasn't until the 1950s that a government official made first contact with the coal, but even today, the crew could see that people here still practice the same lifestyle that their ancestors cultivated 35,000 years earlier. Now, after recovering in Tuke, a helicopter brings the team their kayaks and a resupply.
Christmas time in PNG. It's so much fun for you and me. Banana.
As the expedition gears up, the fragility of this landscape begins to set in. The coal recently accepted an offer to log the Pandy's basin in the next 3 years. When that happens, the tribe's isolated cultural history will vault toward the 21st century, changing with it language, tradition, and the land and river's ecologic integrity. Like many rivers in New Britain, the Pandy flows from a cave. This phenomenon is created by 19 annual feet of rainfall on the limestone of the Nakanai Mountains. The rain erodes the rock into conduits for the world's most active underground river system. It also creates the challenging whitewater and massive waterfalls that the expedition has come to explore. The crew's work has paid off. The kayaking is phenomenal. Villagers join the adventurers to watch them kayak the first rapids in the Pandy River's gorge. It quickly turns to Class 5 kayaking, where the river is the only way out. They have little margin for error.
I just went over the horizon line. I don't know what's down there.
Scott just paddled up to the side to try and get on this rock right here, and he just started sliding on this monster rapid. It's the biggest rapid by far we've seen, and the most horrible.
The waterfall Scott has flushed over is one of the worst rapids the crew has ever seen. After he was swept over the waterfall, he was ripped out of his kayak and swam through yet another Class 5 drop. Scott was unable to contact the crew for a full 20 minutes. Miraculously, he survived with only a severely bruised elbow and a tweaked shoulder, but is able to continue on.
How you doing, buddy? Good for a ghost.
The crew spends hours negotiating technical ropework portages, with no way of knowing when the gorge will relent.
We know there's a third drop, and we don't know if it's portageable at river level, or if we're gonna have to find some way up these walls. So we're gonna try and climb down now, maybe rappel down a bit, and see if we can scout third rapid to either portage or run. We're not sure.
At this point, going up and over through the jungle is going to take us a lot of time. We don't have a lot of daylight left, so we need to make some downstream progress. So we're really hoping for an all good.
Thankfully, there's a line through the churning whitewater, but it's a difficult move over a powerful hydraulic. The vertical gorge forces the team to either portage at river level or commit to Class 5 rapids that are testing their ability.
Woo-wee! Big whitewater in the Pandy.
They must work together as a team to survive. Darkness begins to fall on the gorge, and before the crew is yet another significant waterfall.
We're in the middle of a huge section of whitewater, really steep gorge, and it's wall to wall here, very, very narrow canyon for a little bit. We don't know what's downstream. Looks like it may be good to go, so we're gonna drop in and probe it and make sure. So here we go.
After Andy runs the rapid, darkness divides the team with 2 members forced to sleep above the 30-foot waterfall, and the rest camps below. In the morning, the crew reunites and continues through more spectacular gorges and must run rapids and waterfalls.
It's good to go. There's a log on the right at the bottom, so make sure you run the left line. And you want to pencil in straight up and down and tuck forward hard. It's every bit of 50 feet.
It's all about what you do, not what you say. Love your life, read and pray. Oh, yeah. It's all about what you do, not what you say. Yo, you will surely fade away. You wanna learn, come on outside. Don't be afraid, yo, don't be shy. Rastafari is the almighty eye. Don't ask why. Hey, Bonify, don't you hear the youths them cry?
The whitewater begins to ease, and the crew shifts to the next big concern.
Maybe Andy and I will give a quick demo of how to scare a croc, or how to entice him. We're not sure yet.
Ooh,
Now, it's just a few more days of paddling the river's flat water, past beautiful scenery, and onto the tranquil waters of the Pacific. Physically and emotionally exhausted from weeks in the jungle, the crew spends their last night on the banks of the Pandy, where they are nursed back to health by the kindness of the locals.
Thank you.
They brought us pig. We haven't had pig in... I've never had pig here. I'm sure it's totally sanitary. But it's really good.
As we paddle out, we're literally watched over by indigenous people who have lived here for thousands of years. It's difficult to imagine their jungle turning into clear cuts and soon oil palm plantations. The lumber will be shipped overseas and the palm oil turned into food or fuel. It's more pleasant, however, to imagine developed nations learning from knowledge stored in places like Papua New Guinea. Learning to eat from our own backyards and only use resources like wood in a quantity the forest can support. As we paddle towards the Pacific and the success of our expedition, I'm beginning to realize what a difficult lesson this place has taught me. I'm unbelievably happy to reach the ocean, but I can't stop thinking of the ways my lifestyle and use of resources at home affect people here.